Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with another episode of SoundJack's Rambles. And today I'm joined by Alyssa.
Hi.
And we are going to talk about Transformers Animated. Yes, we're actually going to be talking about a good Transformers cartoon for once.
I am free from my misery.
Yay! We are all free from the misery and pain of the Mission and the Prime Wars trilogy cartoons.
Yep, unless they make that sequel that they were hinting at very subtly.
Not? Because the continuity doesn't make sense even if it was supposed to continue into the War for Cybertron series.
I know.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about good cartoons from 10 years ago. Transformers Animated is a show. It is a good show. And it is a wonderful show. And why don't I have good sentences right now?
You're okay.
So, before we really dive into Transformers Animated itself, how did we each get introduced to this series? I will start, since I'm the Transformers fanatic in the chat, in the Skype call.
Yes.
I should say.
Yes.
And I actually saw this as it was live on TV on Cartoon Network and watched it. I didn't end up getting most of the toys at the time, which I highly regret doing now, but I watched it and I quite enjoyed myself watching it. Alyssa, how did you get introduced to Transformers Animated?
You said, hey, let's watch Transformers Animated.
You're not wrong.
That's how I got introduced. I mean, there's really not much else to say.
It's completely fair. Completely fair. Yeah. But yeah. I had her watch it specifically to talk about it on the podcast, though also to try to drag her further into the Transformers fandom.
I mean, look, man. I don't know.
I'm just like the weight at the bottom of the Transformers fandom, and you're just chained to me, and you're slowly being brought down.
Hey, don't make any presumptions about my level of attachment to the Transformers series.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm having a good time so far, so I wouldn't say it's like a...
Even though I made you watch the Prime Wars trilogy?
Watching that trilogy is many hours I will never get back, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm fine watching really weird things for the sake of entertainment, so... Yeah. Whatever.
But yeah, talking about this show, Alyssa.
Yes.
Can you give a brief overview of what the series is? I guess summary would be the right term to use in this case, since it's like a 3-season thing. But what's the premise of this show?
Sure. So,
for if you haven't happened to watch this series of Transformers, since it is 10 years old, so it is entirely possible it skipped your view, or you're a newer fan and haven't been exposed to it. If you're out there and on this channel for Transformers, which, I mean, it seems like most of my content's Transformers reviews, so I kind of think you'd be here for that, for Transformers.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not and you're actually here for the Rambles podcast, that's also cool. But just let me know, because I'm under the assumption you're just here because this happens to be on a channel where you see Transformers reviews.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I subscribe for your channel updates.
I mean, you're my girlfriend, though. But I mean,
it was a joke. I did it to be I did it because it was funny, because who would subscribe for channel updates? Oh my gosh. Anyway,
I completely misinterpreted the joke. I apologize. You
are hilarious. Okay. So anyway, the premise of the show is that there are these 5 Autobots Optimus Prime, Ratchet, Bumblebee, Bulkhead, and Prowl, who are working on a space bridge of sorts, and through some I forget exactly the scenario in which it happens, and it's not really that important to the summary, but basically they end up crash landing on Earth. Oh no, I think it was like Megatron like attacked them, and then
because they found the Allspark.
They both Megatron and the Autobots crashed onto Earth, and then they woke up and they found themselves stranded, and basically like it fast forwards 50 years in the future, and Earth is in the future, and robots are everywhere, and now basically they have to there's the Allspark. They have to protect the Allspark from danger, because Megatron, they think Megatron's dead, but Megatron survived the impact and has been retrofitted into Professor Sundak, who is a human who works with robots, into his lab and stuff. So basically, Megatron's trying to retrieve the Allspark, and the Autobots have to protect the Allspark.
Yep.
That's basically the running theme for most of the series.
Also, where is it set?
It's on Earth, I said that.
Where on Earth?
Oh, Detroit, that's right. Detroit. And I guess that's important because Detroit has always, like, you know how Detroit has this association of being the automobile, used to be the automobile capital of the world. Now it's the robot capital of the world.
Yep.
It's like Detroit Become Human, only in 2005 and with Transformers. No, I'm just kidding. It's not at all what the series is like.
Yeah.
You do not get to play a buddy cop movie where Mr. Krabs is your grumpy superior officer. Anyway. So
that joke just went over my head.
People who know about Detroit Become Human will get you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so that's basically the summary.
Yep.
If you know, it's a fun kids show. Wacky hijinks. Kind of, it sort of waffles between a through line, kind of like a plot, but it's a little more episodic in nature probably than something like, I don't know, Gravity Falls or something like that. So you could probably watch a random episode of animated and come out satisfied, unless it was
like the finale,
like the finales, or like one of the multi-parter episodes. Then those you might get lost. But like on the whole, they're probably more compact and episodic than maybe something like I said, like Gravity Falls, which is a very, you know, I think for the most part, I believe it's like I haven't actually seen Gravity Falls. I don't even know why I'm using that as an example for me personally.
I was going to say, I have no clue. I can't back up or not back up your statement.
If I'm going to compare it to another series, Avatar: The Last Airbender is probably one of is a cartoon series that I've seen that has a very strict plot, and you really can't watch an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender on its own without missing things.
Yeah.
So,
but
this series, I feel like this series you could probably watch an episode on its own and it would be fine. You wouldn't be too, I mean, you might miss a couple things, but it's not like crucial to your enjoyment of the episode.
Oh yeah, I'd agree with that. But overall, would you recommend this series?
Well, I don't know. I think it depends on the kind of viewer you are. If you're into kids' cartoons, if you totally are willing to watch things like that, you know, anything on Cartoon Network that in the past, like if you really like those shows and you still think they hold up for you, I think this is right up your alley. I'd say if you're looking for a show that has a bit more depth and maybe like has a bit more going on under the hood, like maybe if you're more into something like I said, Avatar: The Last Airbender, maybe something like current era Cartoon Network, like, I don't know, I haven't seen it, but I know Steven Universe has a lot going on under the hood, as well as Gravity Falls. So if you're like, if those are more your jam, this one might feel a little like bare bones. I mean, that's not to say that the show isn't good, but don't go in expecting like this really epic story with lots of nuance. not what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a very simple show with very simple characters and very simple plot. And like I know they use a lot of words and there's a lot of recurring characters and there's a lot of science mumbo jumbo and character moments, but I don't think it's as probably as deep as other shows. But on the other hand, I think it's also not as like bare bones as something like SpongeBob, you know, where it's like no, not really any plot, very simple characters, no character development. So it's not like that. So it's kind of, I guess, in between. Like it has more of a overarching plot than something like SpongeBob, but it's not as really heavy storytelling as something like Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I guess if that's if you're somewhere in the middle, you'll probably like, yes, this is the show for me. But if you prefer something on either one end or the other, this one might not. This one might feel weird for multiple reasons. I know it's a very complex recommendation. I don't know. It's just kind of weird to recommend this kind of cartoon. I mean, like I think most people who like to watch cartoons would be fine, but I also see someone like my age getting bored. You know, like I can see someone getting bored from watching this. And that's not to say that it's good. Like I'm just saying it's just not very deep. So if someone's looking for a really deep cartoon, they're not going to get it here. That's all. Yeah. If you have like 10-year-old niece, or niece or nephew, they'll probably love it. Yeah. That's totally cool too. So, yeah. But if you're not looking, you don't really care how deep it is, and you're fine with cartoons that are like that don't really have too much adult intrigue, but you'll still watch it anyway, then you'll totally love this. Sorry.
You're good. I mean, I think it picks up a bit more of the adult intrigue you're talking about, like towards season 3, like when it really hits on some heavy, serious stuff.
Yeah.
But
so more.
I can understand where you're coming from, but I'm more overall positive towards the series, and maybe it's because I'm a Transformers fan. But you know, I like my Teen Titans, and this is kind of Teen Titans but robots to an extent.
Yeah, and look, like I said, I'm not trying to say that the show is bad. I'm saying that like it's not like this is a movie or a TV property that will appeal to everyone. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. Like I feel like I could recommend Toy Story the movie to both kids and adults will like this I think I'd be more confident in recommending Toy Story because I feel like it reaches a wider demographic of viewers. And well, yeah, there might be plenty of people who might not like Toy Story. I feel like adults can like it and kids can like it, whereas I feel like this show is way more kid oriented, and like that's just the nature of the show, and there are plenty of adults who probably would not be too interested, you know. Like it's kind of like would I recommend Big Bear in the Big Blue House, even though I as a toddler really liked that show. Like I think Bear in the Big Blue House is a lovely show for toddlers. I wouldn't recommend any adults see it because I don't think there's a lot there for them, you know. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
There's audience is an important aspect when you recommend something. You don't want to recommend something just because I like this doesn't necessarily mean you will. Is my point. Okay. And that's not necessarily a fault of the show. It's more about your taste and how you, when it comes to like media and what you like, you know.
That's fair. But let's get into talking about the show now.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go. Just dive in. Spoiler warning ahead if you haven't seen it. Finished watching this cartoon that came out 10 years ago.
Okay.
So since we haven't talked about the series at all, unlike Voltron, let's start with talking about the characters.
Sure.
I'll let you go ahead. Get us started in this talk of the characters. So,
I guess I'll start with talking about how I feel about the 5 mains.
Yeah.
I guess 6 if you count Sorry.
Yes.
I think all of them are pretty good. I think they all have a different range in personalities, which is good. I have to say, I really like. I mean, I guess this sort of overlaps with background, but their character designs I think are really good. And I'll probably talk about more about character design, but I think in terms of like all the other Transformers media I've seen so far, I feel like just as a preview of what's to come, I feel like these character designs are some of my favorites, and I'll get into more about why I think that is when we talk about other things. But as far as their actual characters, I don't know if I have a favorite in the 5. I think I like them all pretty equally. I think Optimus Prime is interesting. I think he has a lot of cool character conflicts. Prowl is fun. He's a bit of a generic ninja, but I think he has a little bit more going for him than that. Bumblebee has a lot of good one-liners and a lot of funny comebacks. Bulkhead is like the epitome of lovable idiot, and I always have a soft spot for those lovable idiot characters. And then there's Ratchet, who I also really like. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but having like a grumpy old man who is jaded as one of your core cast members, I don't necessarily think is very common in kids shows. Like in your average team ensemble thing, I don't know if you see jaded too often. Like you might see like that edgy dude. Like if you think of the cast of the Teen Titans, like Raven's kind of like jaded, but she's not like frumpy or old. She's just like an emo kid, I guess, if you were to distill her character into its barest essence.
Well, I mean, Ratchet's basically the grandpa of the group.
Yes, he is. But my point is like, I don't know if there are many kids shows that have a literal grandpa as one of the main characters. Like, I think most of the time they either try to make all of the characters like the kid's age, like the age of the people who the target audience, or slightly older. I mean, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV, or American cartoons, so I could be wrong, and I could be completely off base. And maybe there are a lot more grandpa characters. I mean, the only other grandpa character I can think of off the top of my head that was very memorable is Uncle Iroh from Avatar: Last Airbender, but he's not a core cast member.
Isn't there a grandpa in Gravity Falls or something?
Grunkle Stan, yeah. So I guess Grunkle Stan might be the only other character who's old and grumpy.
Grandpa Max from Ben 10.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I don't know. Maybe there are.
I'm just like, I was thinking to myself, like, she might be around. I'm like, well, there's 3 cartoons right there.
Yeah. But like I said, main cast. I'm not talking about like supporting cast.
No, I mean Grandpa Max was definitely main cast. Grandpa Max was definitely main cast.
Yeah. So. Okay. So yeah, maybe it's more common than I think it is.
Yeah.
But is that grandpa character like frumpy grandpa, or is he more
okay,
Uncle Miyagi grandpa, like wise old mentor grandpa? Because I think wise old, if we I'm not counting wise old mentors. I'm not counting mentor characters because that's like way more common of a trope. I'm talking like specifically like, you kids get off my lawn.
Oh, okay. Okay, that
I feel like is a little less rare.
Is Grandpa Max a mentor? Well, because he knows the stuff that's going on with Ben, but he doesn't want to admit it because he doesn't want to admit he's been fighting aliens for years, a good portion of the show. But I think we are very off topic.
We are.
Let's bring it back into the Autobots.
Okay. Well,
sorry.
Well, like I said, I don't really have too much to say. I mean, I like all of them. I think they all have their share of character beats and character moments. Okay. We see backstory for most of them.
We see backstory.
I think most of them
all
have
of them.
Some sort of all of them have some sort of bad thing happen in the past. Ratchet has seen literal war, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, like, pretty much all of them have had horrible things happen. Not horrible, bad things.
Bumblebee and Bulkheads were just more unfortunate.
Yeah, that was more unfortunate.
Mostly bumblebees.
I guess Optimus Prime would probably go horrible because he saw one of his friends die.
Or he thought he did.
Thought he saw one of his friends die. But then she came back as a mutant monster.
Yay!
Yay! Don't you hate it when your friends die and then they come back as a mutant monster? I sure do.
Oh, yeah. I hate when that happens to me all the time. It happened to me twice today already.
Oh, man. Dang, I guess they all went to Centralia, huh?
Yeah.
Central PA reference? Anyway.
Woot.
I say that as if I live in Central PA.
You don't. No.
I did for 4 years, but...
That's at school. That doesn't... Does that count?
It's kinda. I mean, I was there for, like, most of the year, so I'd say I lived there.
Anyway.
I slept in a bed in there, so I think that counts. Anyway. Off topic. Why am I going off topic so much? Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't have too much else to say about them. Not, like I said, I like them all. I guess I just don't like one so much that I have like so much to say about, or there's not one that I'm like, I hate that guy and I want to rant about them for 5 minutes.
If I forced you right now to pick one of them as your most favorite,
I don't know if I can do it. I literally like them all equally. Like, honestly, if I was like, well, Ratchet's is good, but I can't like get Prowl out of here. I'm like, oh, but Bumblebee's cool too, and I'm like, oh, but Bulkhead, you're great. Optimus Prime, I just go down the list, and we're back at square one. So, I literally think I like them all equally. Like, I think they work well as a team, and I think that's also a good. Here's a good definitive thing I can say without rambling too much. They work well as a cohesive whole as a team.
Yes.
I think that's really good.
Oh yeah.
So you sort of feel like each team member is valued, which is I think really important. I think there might be some shows out there that have like a team dynamic where maybe one member is kind of the fourth wheel, or the it's like in Voltron how Hunk's kind of like.
Yeah. Like he does the stuff, but like
he does stuff, but he's probably like if a character was to die, he'd probably like if one of the main Voltron like Team Voltron minus Allura were to die, I'd say Hunk's probably the most likely if we were basing it purely on like character depth, which is a really sad thing to say, and I don't like that that's the case. No. But I'd say that's. I'd say that this show probably does the whole cohesive whole team dynamics, maybe even better than Voltron.
Yeah.
Because you don't really feel like there's a weak link in the team, which is good. And so therefore, that's why I feel like the fact that I can't choose a favorite is almost like a strength for this show. Like, I like them all, you know?
Speaking of cohesive team, though, we have been talking about Sorry.
Oh, yes, that's true. I guess maybe she's the weakest link. But I don't know. She's not really like she is part of the team, but she's also sort of not. It's weird.
Well, she's more part of the team in season 3 when she becomes one of them.
I kind of think of her as different because she's definitely supposed to be more of a POV character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's the human. She's what connects the robots to the Earth, and she's sort of like the person who teaches them Earth things.
Mm-hmm.
So she's sort of like the person that the audience can kind of relate to a little more because she's a human.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of consider her different, and you know there are episodes when she's not really involved at all. So there's that. Yeah, so I guess if there was a weakest link in the whole team, maybe Sorry would be it, which is unfortunate too, because she's a pretty cool character too. Yeah. I think it's also really cool that they didn't make her completely annoying, because it is very easy to make like that character be the worst thing alive.
Oh yeah,
just like shut up. But Sorry's cool. She's like a bratty kid, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in just she does a lot of breaking the rules because, I mean, she is a rich girl.
Yeah, she's a rich girl who's trapped in the penthouse and trapped in her tower because she's secretly a robot and her father doesn't want other people to find out.
well, yeah, I'm not trying. Look, I'm saying that, like, she's bratty, but she's not annoying.
She's not a snotty rich kid. She's
just in over her head.
Yeah.
She thinks she can do all these things, but she clearly has more learning to do. And,
yeah.
She has flaws, and her flaws are treated with the right amount of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not respect.
Attention.
Right amount of balance. Like, they balance out her character very well, so she doesn't come across as annoying. Her brattiness and her need to be rebellious doesn't feel tropey. It feels like her character, which is good. It's what you want.
Yes.
Okay, why don't you talk a little bit more?
No, I'm mostly enjoying listening to you talk, because it's fair the audience should hear my opinion, but I'm just more interested to hear what you were saying.
Oh, well, I'm happy that I'm not
as someone
you.
not in the like that is new to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should talk about my feelings about these characters.
Yeah.
I mean, to an extent, I am piggybacking off of what you have said.
Okay.
That they are all really good characters. They all have they are all definitely individually unique.
Yeah.
But also work well together as a whole.
Yeah.
All of them have good backstories to them that we do find out at some point during the series.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Sari is unfortunately, Sari's the human. She's technically the least capable in fighting the superpowered humans or the Decepticon foes that they face down most episodes.
Yeah.
Again, until we get to the season 3 and she becomes a robot.
Yes.
Or she upgrades into her teenager form. Puberty hit her hard and hit her fast.
Yeah, it did.
But I do say, if I had, and while I do agree with you that it's hard to pick a favorite character, I would go with Optimus Prime. And in this instance, it's not like, oh, he's the popular one, it's Optimus Prime, of course you're going to pick Optimus Prime. No, it's not because he's the leader. It's because he's the one who's trying to learn how to be a leader. He's going through growth himself in this series. It's not other Optimus Primes who are well established as the leader and are leading this team. He's working on that. He's learning that. Ratchet's his mentor, basically, because Ratchet's got all of that experience. But Ratchet don't want to do that anymore after all of this crap he had to see with controlling Omega Supreme.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that was fun. That was a fun time, Omega. Did you expect their ship to be alive?
No. Well, not really. No, it never really crossed my mind. Which I guess in retrospect was kind of a little bit short-sighted, because, Ratchet always talked to Omega Supreme as if they were a person.
Yeah.
So I probably should have been like, in a universe where robots are living, it probably shouldn't be too much of a surprise that their ship is also living.
Yeah. Most of the time the ships aren't alive. Most of the time.
That's also true. Yeah.
But yeah, that's also like really cool really cool character that we don't get to see a whole lot of nowadays. Why couldn't if he had a toy? Anyway.
I don't know, man.
Anywho. But yeah, again, Optimus Prime, if I had to pick one, it would probably be him. But again, all of them are great. Also, he's voiced by David Kaye. He just does a complete 180 from his Beast Wars Megatron.
Yeah.
Which is just really great. But let us also talk about the Decepticons.
Okay.
Just for a bit briefer than we did for the Autobots. Because while there are certainly certain Decepticons that appear more frequently than others, they're all relatively scattered.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, good. Megatron. Oh boy, he gets stuck as a head for an entire season. But
yeah,
he lives up to the deception in Decepticon during that season. So much. And then he's a friggin' bamf whenever he's in combat.
Yeah.
and survives explosions that should destroy 100 miles around them that are condensed into a small space somehow.
He's just like the. I was gonna say he's Jesus, but I was like, no.
No, that's Jesus. Optimus Prime. Get it right.
He's Satan. That's why.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think Megatron was fine. I guess like I liked all the Decepticons, but I don't know if I really liked Megatron like too much. Like in terms of how I rank the characters in terms of favorites, I don't think he's very high on my list.
Yeah.
I just kind of found him
he is a bit more of the
bad guy, sort of. I mean, he's not like, we didn't really get to see too much of who he was. He just was kind of like, I'm the bad guy.
I mean, to be completely honest, there's one scene where like he's talking to the Constructicons, about like fighting for a rightful home and all of that junk.
Yeah.
And I, at the very least, believe that's what he genuinely thinks.
Right.
Like he's doing all this terrible stuff, and he's going to be a tyrant when he rules Cybertron. But like, he's convinced it's their rightful home, and he thinks he and the Decepticons were wrongfully forced away for their actions.
Right.
He believes it's his right, and he's going to fight for it, even though he is wrong.
I do think he has a lot of personality in the sense that he's very cunning and he's, deceptive. And, he does a lot of cool things. But put it this way. If you were to make me choose between, like, out of all of the... Okay, this is going to sound real dumb, but out of all of the continuities, like as far as TV shows that I've seen so far for Transformers, if you were to be like, which is the best Megatron, I would probably have to say my favorite is the one from the Prime Wars cartoons. And really only because he's like, because he's just the best character in that whole thing, and he just has such a unique personality that you just kind of have to like him.
I need to make you watch Beast Wars. That shall hopefully change that statement.
Like, I don't know.
But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Not as compelling to me as like that guy. Hell, I think that IDW Megatron is probably leagues better than this one because.
Oh yeah, that's right. I should get you to finish reading Matumti.
Like, I mean, I haven't finished it, so I can't really definitively say how that Megatron is.
But
which is why I'm sure once I finish it, he's probably gonna really overshoot Prime Wars Megatron. But I feel like this one is he's just kind of menacing. He's just, okay, put it this way. If you were to tell me, hey, make a show where Megatron's the bad guy, this is the kind of bad guy I would assume Megatron would be like, this is how I would imagine definitively Megatron is like.
Yeah.
Menacing, cunning, manipulative, tyrant, etc.
Yes.
And well, that's fine, and that's great, and this Megatron does a good job of being that. Like, he does do a good job being that. I don't want to say that he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He does a great job. I guess my point is that I would prefer something a bit more unique.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, out of all the Megatrons that I've seen, I feel like this Megatron is low on the list in terms of who I like as a character. Yeah. Does he do well? Yes, he does well for this cartoon. I think it makes sense. Also, like, narratively speaking, the contrast between seeing tons of war is this huge... It's sort of like a David and Goliath pair-up, like... Megatron is like this huge hulking dude who's seen a lot of combat, very threatening, will punch a hole in your face the size of a crater. Like, his menace creates a perfect contrast to Optimus Prime, who hasn't seen a lot of combat, is pretty much a rookie, got demoted, so he's not even like supposed to be fighting him. Yep. So it sort of makes that contrast, which I like. I think it works for the show. I think it makes. I don't think it would make sense for the show to have like IDW Megatron or or Prime Wars Megatron. I mean, Prime Wars Megatron is just he's just an outlier anyway.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't make sense for us to have a more complex, sympathetic Megatron because that's not really that doesn't really match well with who Optimus Prime is.
Mm-hmm.
Like Optimus Prime, like a really complex, sympathetic Megatron makes a lot more sense for IDW because like Optimus Prime is also really complex and he's also a really established leader. So they're more. It's more about their similarities.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say in like I think IDW does more with like how they like trying to make them seem very similar, and sort of like towing the tension of how different are they, you know? Whereas in this show, they're clearly supposed to be on completely opposite sides of the evil good spectrum.
Yeah.
And competent versus incompetent spectrum. Like they're clearly supposed to be opposing forces in pretty much every way. Yeah. So like, and I don't think that's bad.
No.
Like I hope I'm not confused. I think it's bad.
No.
I guess I'm just saying that if you were to just tell me how do I think about Megatron as a character removed from all of his narrative utility, I'd say that this one is the more boring one, in my opinion. But I think he functions really, really well surrounded with the rest of the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was... I'm going to stop. I talked way too long about him. Oh my god.
Well, then if you didn't like Megatron so much, if you had to pick your favorite Decepticon from this series, who would it be?
Black Arachnia, easy.
I figured.
Okay, let's say why. 1, Spider. Already won. Like, Spider, you got me. I'm sold already. You don't even need to do anything else. I already love you. I'm just kidding. That's the case. But I do have a really soft spot in my heart for spiders. That's what happens when you work with them for a year. You know? You bond with them.
Yeah.
Okay. At least I do. So Spider, number 1, Spider. Number 2, she's one of the few female characters in this entire show who's a robot.
Mm-hmm.
There's not too many of them. Like RC's there, but she's like
unconscious,
brain dead for like 95% of it, and even when she is awake, she isn't even conscious of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like the only real fembot, and she's at least it's interesting that she used to be an Autobot that was tainted by spiders and now is a spider lady.
Yes.
I think that's pretty cool. So I think she's a little more interesting. I think I think that sort of idea of organic and that's I also think that her backstory is a really clever way of working in Black Arachnia, who was a Beast Wars character originally, into this universe, you know?
Yes.
Like how do we put we can't just I haven't watched Beast Wars, so I don't know what the conceit is, and as far as my understanding of Beast Wars conceit ends with robots, but also animals.
Yes.
And that might be the whole conceit. That might be it. That might just be robots, but animals, and then that's just how the show is. But as far as how do we take a Beast Wars design and make it natural, because it's kind of like with the Prime Wars cartoon when Optimus Primal's in Primes, and he's he's just an eyesore because he does not look anything like the other Transformers, and it's sort of like this begs an explanation. You can't just have Optimus Primal just here and not explain why he's a gorilla, you know?
Yeah.
Or a gorilla, I think. Yeah, is that his animal?
Yeah.
Okay, why does he look like he has fur when no one else has fur? Like, what is the deal? And they never explain it because, I don't know, I guess they can't fit that into 10 minute episodes. Anyway, I'm getting off track again. God. I'm bringing him up, though, because that's an example of Transformers continuity where the Beast Wars characters just were plopped in there without any consideration of how to make them work in the story. Here, they do a pretty good job of making Black Arachnia fit into the show. Like, you don't look at her and say, oh, this was a design lifted from another continuity and they just kind of plopped her in there. Like, if I didn't know Beast Wars existed before this era, I could have totally bought the idea that she was from animated, you know?
Yeah.
Like, she feels natural, which is good. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking.
Okay, it's all good.
I'm sorry I'm getting off track so much.
No, I mean, you were talking on topic.
Okay, well, yeah.
For that.
What about you? Who's your favorite Decepticon?
Shockwave, I gotta say. He's so cool, and he does so much stuff in this show. He kills so many people.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, like, for the original cartoon, like, one of the main thing about Shockwave in the original cartoon, he was logical, he was loyal to Megatron, and he was in charge of Cybertron. How do you do that in a series where Cybertron is completely ruled by Autobots? Simple. Make Shockwave a Decepticon spy on Cybertron.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
that was that's a very, very unique take on Shockwave.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's awesome that Corey Byrne got to voice him again, and in fact encouraged the writers to, hey, like, do something with Shockwave, please. He didn't do anything in the original cartoon. He just sat on his throne on Cybertron most of the day.
I do think Shockwave is a really cool Decepticon. I think I can definitely see why I guess because he's more of a background player is why I don't immediately think of him when I think of the Decepticons on the show, but I do think he's a very strong character, and I think he's sort of like Megatron, only if he was a spy.
Yes.
I guess, like, it's all the sort of cunning ruthlessness that you'd expect, only it's a bit more subdued, which is really cool. I totally agree. Shockwave's good.
Shockwave is great. Unfortunately, Soundwave does not take it, though. He still has a close place in my heart because he has his laser beacon Ratbat partners turn into instruments for him to use.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's
just so funny.
That's a nice twist on the music persona.
Though
also I cannot argue against Black Arachnia being completely awesome, especially with her background and her story. Though Starscream has a fun time being on his own for quite a bit of the series.
Oh my gosh. You know, I actually gotta say, I think that this Starscream is also really good in this cartoon. I think he definitely has a bit, I mean, like, my only experience with Starscream there's Prime Wars Starscream, but like I don't even know.
Yeah.
Let's ignore him. He can't matter. Prime Wars Starscream was just a haha, I fooled you moment, and it's just like, oh really? And like, who cares?
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to, I don't think I've even read anything with Starscream in it with Matumti yet. I don't even think he's shown up. Has he? Or if he has, it's been like a blip, and he hasn't like done anything really important in the story.
Like he's been there, like when we saw the Decepticon colony, like the Decepticon prison after Optimus came back, but very, very briefly. He is a big player in the Robots in Disguise series.
Right.
Like, stupidly huge. Like stupidly huge.
Okay.
Like, you knowing what Starscream is like, you're going to be like, wait, why is this a good idea?
Okay. Well,
Though it turns out to be amazing an amazing story turn, though I have to personally read the comics, so I am familiar with what occurs in those pages.
Like Starscream, I just don't know anything really about Matumti Starscream. Yeah. Like, I'm sure I'll find out.
Well, IDW right now, more so, because he's not...
IDW Starscream, I don't know anything about him. But from what I can gather in the original cartoon, even though I haven't seen it, he's a bit... He's just... well, look, it's like his character doesn't make sense in some ways, and he's kind of, I don't know, I really haven't, the only experience with Starscream is the 86 movie.
where he tries to overthrow Megatron, somehow succeeds for once, and then gets immediately blasted as soon as he becomes crowned leader.
Yeah, I do. I mean, like, Wanna Bet is still one of my favorite Starscream lines throughout the ship. Oh my god. So I guess what I associate with Starscream is just like weird hijinks.
Yeah.
I guess is how I envision Starscream from what I've seen.
I mean, you're not wrong.
That's good.
You're not wrong.
That's interesting. Again, Prime Wars we're not counting.
Yeah.
So this Starscream, while he does do weird hijinks, it feels more motivated. If that makes sense. Like I feel like he has a plan in mind when he does these things. And he's not just like, well, guess I'm just gonna do some random stuff. And he still wants to overthrow Megatron, but it feels like it makes more sense than just him being like, Megatron has a cold, so now I'm the leader.
Yep.
Which is just like, oh, Starscream, that's not how the line of succession works. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his clones are funny. That's a pretty interesting way of very visually deconstructing a character.
Yeah.
And also Slipstream, it's like, glad we're acknowledging that.
Yeah. What do you think?
We're getting that. We're just gonna visually acknowledge that aspect of Starscream. Okay.
What? So here's the question. It's never properly addressed what part of Starscream Slipstream comes from. What part of Starscream do you think Slipstream comes from?
Probably his effeminate side. That's what I got from it. Like,
yeah.
He's like, I mean, because like there's been that sort of undercurrent that Starscream's like kind of like the gay one ish. Okay, look, in IDW that's obviously not the case because it's just
everyone is gay.
Because like everyone is, and it's just like Starscream wouldn't be an outlier. But I feel like people have sort of like imposed this idea of Starscream being gay onto him from the 80s cartoon on.
But I mean like the thing I'm more understanding is like tropes often associated with effeminate or gay males.
Yeah, so sort of like him being sassy.
Yeah.
Probably is his sassy side. Maybe even because I mean, there's also this idea of women being duplicitous.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe his more duplicitous side. Because you got those. One of those tropes of female villains is that, again, Black Arachnia falls into that stereotype where she's duplicitous.
Oh, yeah.
So, in some ways, it could also be that she's duplicitous. I mean, it could be a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I took it to mean either his feminine side or his sassy.
Mm-hmm.
Either way.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there anything else we want to say about the Decepticons, or do we want to move on to, like, other minor characters?
No, yeah, let's move on to some minor characters. Are there any particular characters we haven't touched upon yet that you would like to bring up?
Friggin' Wreck-Gar! Oh my god! That man is a treasure. Okay, why is he a treasure? 1, voiced by Weird Al Yankovic. Done. You won me. You have forever won me. It's like with Black Arachnia. Spider, I love it.
Yep.
Weird Al Yankovic, sign me up. You
yep.
know? His show knows the way to my heart. So he has absolutely wonderful lines. Like, the jokes all land. It's all just like good visual puns, just great pun work. And even if you don't get some of the jokes, they're still funny. And even though he only appears twice in the entire show, he's one of my favorite characters. He's just a great, fun guy, and he takes everything seriously. Oh my god, he's just great. He's just a goof, and I love him.
And of course, he's
kind of like a lovable idiot, but like I think he's even funnier than Bulkhead.
Yeah,
like Bulkhead's more along the lines of clumsy, lovable idiot.
Yeah,
I feel like
Wreck-Gar's the oblivious lovable idiot.
Like, what?
Wreck-Gar, I'd say, is the oblivious lovable idiot.
Yeah, he's more oblivious. He's more naive. And yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
I don't really have much else to say. It's just a wonderful character. I love everything about him.
Yeah. Is there a character we haven't talked about yet that you would particularly hate or despise? Or maybe more generally dislike? I'm trying to nudge you to I'm trying to nudge you to a specific answer.
Wait, who was it? I know there probably was one, but I can't. I'm trying to. I don't remember.
Sentinel.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh my god, that guy. I can't curse, but just know that mentally I'm cursing him out.
Mm.
Oh my god, he's the worst. He is the worst. I think the problem. I just every time I'm like, I'll give him a chance. He's just like, I'm just like, nope. You just crave too much power.
You're a jerk.
Oh my god, he just has, you know, he just has to stick up his exhaust pipe. He's so far up his exhaust pipe.
Yep.
Oh my god, I hate him. Oh my god. I mean, I don't even know. Do I hate him because I don't like his character? Or I don't hate him because I think he's like. Is there any problems that I have with his character as far as it's been written? And I don't know.
Like I'm pretty sure his character is written. I think your response to the character is exactly what the writers intended. Hate.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not trying to say that's not what they intended. I'm just wondering if like having a character so like annoying, like that gets under your skin so much is like kind of what it's a good thing for the story. I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
It sort of gives Optimus Prime someone to be a rival for, which is good. Yeah, I just. Son of Prime, you can just go into the trash where you belong.
Yes. But unfortunately, it was Blur who was sent to the trash.
Oh my god. Blur didn't deserve to die.
No, he did not. He does actually survive.
We don't know that from within the show, though.
Not within the show, but there is official canon that tells the story of Blur getting rescued and being rebuilt.
Oh, okay. Well, at least he lives.
Yeah.
What about you? What are your favorite and least favorite like minor characters?
I mean, I completely agree. Sentinel Prime is jerk, jerkity jerk from Jerktown, Jerktania. But favorite, Swindle is also a good time.
Swindle is also a pretty cool character. I mean, we only see him a couple times, but
he's just so camp.
He's probably the most neutral character too, aside of maybe Wreck-Gar.
Yeah.
And I guess the Constructicons, but they're more explicitly Decepticons.
Yeah.
Swindle's definitely
like,
he doesn't care if he destroys the Decepticons or makes things harder for them. He's just in it for himself. So. Yeah.
But his dialogue is just so fun with all the peppered. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Though we should also give a shout out to a couple of the humans. At the very least, shout out to Captain Van Zone, who has to deal with all these robots despite hating machines.
Might be my favorite human outside of Sorry. I mean, sorry, Professor Sondak, but I think I like Van Zone a little more than him.
Oh yeah.
I think that buddy cop episode with him and Ratchet was
that was beautiful.
The best. It was the best moment. Oh my god.
Though now that I'm thinking about humans, I also have to give an extra Jerktown from Jerktown, Jerktania, or to Porter C. Powell. Oh
yeah, he is a jerk, but I feel like he's a less memorable jerk. He's a less memorable jerk than.
And I mean, he also
Prime really gets under your skin.
Yeah. I mean, he also does get his comeuppance. He does get eaten by Grimlock.
Oh, that's true.
And Fanzone does not give a care.
No, nope.
Which good for you, Fanzone. Good for you. So also, quick mention of Meltdown, who was probably the most actively lethal towards our heroes.
Yeah.
Because gosh darn, was there going to be a lot of straight up murder?
Yep.
If he got his hands around. But I think we've gone around the character pile a bunch.
Yeah.
So let's get talking episodes.
Sure.
Sorry about that. Oh, hey.
You're okay.
I just get my email just decided to tell me, hey, you got an email, and I forgot to turn it off. So there are 3 seasons of episodes plus a 3-part premiere movie, basically. So, what is your... Let's do it by season, if you can remember.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to remember that. I feel like I'd rather...
Just overall?
I don't know. I don't even know if there's a specific episode that I'm like, yeah. Well, okay, the only episode that I can think of where I'm like, yeah, is Rekkar's introduction. Like, of course, I love that episode.
Yeah.
And I think the only one that comes to mind that I'm like, I really like this episode was again with Fanzone and Ratchet. That was really great. Like, I feel like I gravitate more to moments in this show than like specific episodes.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about other moments. What are there other moments that were quite memorable for you?
Ratchet's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
That was really memorable. You know, seeing him dealing with war
and lockdown,
and then the introduction of lockdown and his really messed up tendencies. Prowl's backstory episode where we find out how he learned all his ninja training from, and then again lockdown being like, I killed your master, and it being a big thing.
Yep.
Black Arachnia's introduction and that whole thing was also a really good episode, and I think that one was a whole episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one also might be a solid episode that I was like, good. And I'm trying to think of other episodes that I was like, this is great. I don't know. Those are the ones I can think of right now.
How'd you feel about the human error two-parter that happened on Christmas?
Oh, that episode. That was so weird. Like, I don't even know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
It feels, I don't know. Like, I guess it was kind of a fun excuse to make the Autobots all humans.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really interesting, but I don't really know if, from a narrative perspective, I thought it was all that useful.
Mm-hmm.
Did anything really important happen in that episode that contributed to the rest of the plot? Or is it just more like, here's a fun excuse?
There's a little bit in the second part with Sari just getting like leadership experience and a better understanding of
that's fair.
What Optimus has to deal with, which probably would have been expanded more upon if we got a season 4.
Yeah, I guess on one hand I thought it was fun, but on the other hand I don't know. I don't really think it was like a standout moment. It was probably more standout for how weird it was rather than how interesting and good it was. And I don't even know if that episode was especially funny. Like, the Rekkar episode stands out because it was super funny to me.
Mm-hmm. I
don't really know if I found Human Error like exceptionally funny or exceptionally dramatic. It was just kind of a weird episode. And for weird episodes go, I thought it was a really fun experiment, and it was great to see. It was also a really weird Christmas episode. Like, it was not your normal Christmas.
It's like, is it Die Hard? That's the movie that just happens to be on Christmas, but it's not.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, here's the thing that happened, and it just happens to be on Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really do anything with Christmas. Like, most Christmas episodes are very much centered around the fact that it's Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, at least most shows that have a Christmas episode do that. This one just kind of, it's Christmas, but here's some other things that are unrelated.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What about you? What did you think of that episode?
I pretty much agree. Like, it was definitely a weird episode. I think I enjoyed it a little more than you, just for the different perspectives. Than it sounds like you're having. I mean, also Soundwave, but.
Oh yeah.
Given.
Yeah. Hey, if I can like an episode just because Rekkar's in it, you can like an episode just because Soundwave's in it.
We also got to see Optimus and Soundwave face off in a guitar battle.
Oh, that was also pretty cool.
And then just chops him in half with his own guitar.
Yep. What about you? What are your favorite episodes or moments?
Along Came a Spider with the Black Arachnia origin is definitely great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, Ratchet's backstory episode also really great. Return of the Headmaster is also good because that's the episode where Sentinel gets the most punished.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
The Bridge Too Close two-parter was also really interesting, just because with the surprise reveal of, oh, hey, Bulkhead actually knows things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'd say those are my main episodes.
Okay.
But I think I want to save a little bit spend a little extra time on talking about the finale.
Yes. I want to talk about that finale, too.
Yeah. Especially with how it had to be since we never got season 4.
Yeah, so that finale, I gotta say, I don't know if I'd say it was actively inept as a finale for a season. I feel like the writers did as well as they could, considering where the story was at that point in time. But I feel like it is definitely one of those series that has a very disappointing ending.
Mm.
Like I feel like it's one of those, like, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's not like it wasn't totally like a what, like it wasn't like it was a really really let down, but that last shot was just, it felt so weird and wrong, and I was just like,
Prowl never got a proper send off.
What?
Prowl never got that proper send off.
Yeah, I think it's like probably the part that I'm most upset about. Yeah. Like Prowl, a major character dies, and he doesn't get a proper send off. We don't actually properly mourn his death.
He got better treatment. He got better treatment than basically any Autobot in the movies.
That's fair.
To be fair,
the movies are just kind of,
they just die.
Very, very, very. They just don't care about the characters the way that this show does.
But like with all of the stuff they had open, I think they did the best they could.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
If they in order to tell the story they wanted to tell, and in the space they had to, and also wrap up the series, that is, I would think, the best way they could take care of all of what they needed and wanted to do.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case.
Wish that wasn't the case.
Yeah, me too.
But even, like, honestly though, even if it like continued to the 4th season, if that season ended that way, I think that'd be perfectly fine. And probably in the start of the next season, there would have been a bit more of a proper tribute to Prowl.
Yeah. I think the thing that really like felt weird to me was just that, like, again, that last scene, it's like just the rest of his friends were just holding his body in a casket, and just everyone's like, woo! And I'm just like, this is not a time of celebration. Someone just died.
Well, they caught Megatron, who, massive war criminal.
I get why they're clapping, but at the same time, again, it feels weird having that moment of celebration without being like, hey, they probably would still be upset because one of their best friends died.
Well, our main cast care, but the other guys are like, who's that guy?
I gotcha. I don't know. It's just the mood is a little weird. That's all. Yeah. Like I said, I feel like I'd accept that if we also had a scene that acknowledged the fact that Prowl died and everyone in the crew is upset about it.
Yeah.
Like the fact that just the last scene is just them.
Oh yeah, that's right. They tried to have that moment. And Megatron's like, "Nope, I survived. Time to do something."
Yeah, and the actual combat and the actual like final battle was pretty good. Mm-hmm. I don't really have any complaints about how that went down. And again, like, Prowl's final sacrifice was, it was a good sacrificial death for him, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I definitely do feel like there were a lot of gaps. I mean, there were some things that were never wrapped up, like the fact that Meltdown is still alive. There was also RC's whole thing as a teacher was just kind of they're sort of a joke, even though you told me that that would have been part of the
season
season 4 where Sorry would be taught by RC.
Yeah.
And especially since RC was brought back, you know? Like, I feel like if she didn't die at the end, did she?
No, she survived.
No, she survived. I feel like if they were intending for season 3 to end where it did, like they weren't even considering another season, I feel like they wouldn't have brought up that information about RC. I feel like they either would have had her die. I feel like they would have had her either remain dead or die, or if she survived, they wouldn't have given us so much more information about her.
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel. Also, we never find out if Ultra Magnus lives or not.
Yeah.
He's just kind of in stasis forever.
If you only watch the show, if you listen to the voices of the people who worked on the show, they say he would have died. They say he did kick the bucket.
I believe that he would have, and it felt like he was going to, and I was told, and I will admit, while we were watching the last few episodes, I was waiting for Ultra Madness to die.
You were convinced that Shockwave was in fact going to finish the job
or something, huh?
You were probably like convinced Shockwave was going to finish the job when.
Oh yeah, either Shockwave was going to kill him before he could announce his successor, or he was going to, or there would be a scene where he dies and then names someone his successor. Like, I was expecting that to happen, and I was really surprised when it didn't. And I guess if it didn't happen, I would have expected him to recover. You know, I feel like it's weird that they didn't, like, really conclusively, because, like, could really tell you what happens, especially since Ultra Magnus's relationship to both Sentinel Prime and Optimus Prime is so important. So it feels like leaving that his status in such sort of this limbo feels like a loose thread that they weren't able to tie up. You know, it doesn't feel purposeful. So
darn you, Cartoon Network!
How dare you, Cartoon Network? Yeah. So, but yeah, I do think the finale was as good as it could have been. I obviously do wish it was better, though. I feel like it would have been, the show deserved to have a finale that tied up everything. So it's kind of a shame that we kind of got what we did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think we're good talking episodes though.
Yeah.
The story as well.
What, do you want to move on to background?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have I wanted to bring up my point that I said before briefly about the character design. And I think this is something about, I think that's specific to me as a newer Transformers fan, quote unquote.
Yeah.
As someone who's very unfamiliar with the series, I will say that in most of the continuities, not all of them, but like a lot of times, there are many times where I very much confuse characters for other characters because I guess I'm just not used to them, and because Transformers has such a huge cast, and because all of them kind of have the same boxy look to them, and because they're not people, I get them confused a lot when I'm reading. Like IDW, I'll probably talk about this more when we do a podcast on More Than Meets the Eye. I'll probably mention that my own personal problem, my biggest personal problem with Matumti is that I had a really, really, really hard time getting down who was who in that comic. Mostly because A, these were all new characters to me, and 2, a lot of them looked the same. And I don't blame it on anyone in IDW. I don't think it's like James Roberts' fault or Alex Mills' fault for that. It's just, IDW was definitely made for an audience, not me. Like, the way they introduced it was not for someone like me who was just jumping in randomly in the middle of things. Like, it made it a lot harder for me to tell who was who. And like I said, they're not people. Even though they're sort of humanoid looking, they don't have like human faces, you know? And humans just, it's literally harder for humans to recognize different, even if they look humanish, and even though they have very distinct designs, it's harder for me to pick out who's who than if it was a cast of all human characters. if that makes sense, who were just as varied in how they looked. Does that make sense?
I'm going to be completely honest, though. I do have a hard time in some live action stuff I watch to tell who's who. To be completely honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the movies. Holy God. Like.
Oh no. No. With humans, just like.
Oh yeah.
Humans.
I even think even with human characters, like if you introduce too many characters in the first episode of whatever, like even then you can easily overwhelm a viewer and have them not remember who people are.
Yeah.
Which is why, in my opinion, it's really important that I feel like the optimal team cast size is probably 6.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's enough characters for people to manage, and then you slowly introduce more people, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
If you were to introduce anything more than that is pushing it, in my opinion, as far as what people will be able to remember after only a couple episodes.
Yeah.
Or keep track of. Regardless of who it is. And so for me with IDW, way more than 6 characters that are pretty major. All of them are robots and not people. Mm-hmm. And some of them have similar color schemes, so it's just who's who. Anyway, we're sort of off topic. But my point is, and then the movies, the Transformers movies, I feel like I don't like. I feel like the problem. So the design, character designs of the movie Transformers, like the Bavers guys, they look cool as toys. I think as toys they look really cool, but as a movie design, I don't like them because I feel like they're too busy. I feel like they have too many mechanical parts and they have too many things that move, and so it becomes really hard to tell who's who. Like a lot of those, I feel like the Bavers robots look way closer to similarities, like in similar ways.
Yes.
So my point is that the Bavers, I find the Bavers character designs to be very easy to mix up. I feel like they're very busy and they don't stand out from one another very well. So this is all leading up to my point that I really like the animated cartoon designs because I feel like each character is really uniquely designed. Like, I do not think there's any way that I'm going to confuse one character for another. Like, at all. There was never a point where I was like, who's that guy? And even if I didn't know who a character was, it was probably because there was a really large gap in time between when I was seeing episodes and then I was like, I had to be reminded of some things, or it was a very minor character who didn't show up all that much.
Mm-hmm.
Those were probably the only times when I was like, I don't know who that is. But all the other times I knew exactly who people were, or at least was like, oh, I've seen them before. Like, immediate recognition of at least I know who it is. I know I've seen them before, even if I don't know who it is.
Yes.
I have to say, there are other Transformers media in which I feel like it's easy to mix up who's who.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, this is probably the one cartoon I've seen where they really are able to give each of the characters a unique design that works and is very distinct. Also, one of the things I noticed with this cartoon is that they actually have each of the Transformers have different body types.
Yeah.
Which I think is very uncommon in Transformers. Pretty much all of the Transformers are boxy dudes. They all have the same boxy shape, and the only thing that's distinguishing them is their color. Maybe. I mean, I know that's not always the case. Some of them are planes, they have wings, or some of them have slightly different silhouettes. But they all have the same body type. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Whereas
in this cartoon, they have different body types. At least in comparison to maybe some other things I've seen. But I said, I haven't seen everything, so maybe I'm totally off base and I'm being too harsh. Okay, yeah, so I guess I've been talking a while, so I'm sorry about that. My point is that I really like the character designs the design of this cartoon. I think it's really well designed, and I think it works really well. And I really wish that other Transformers media would take a page out of this book and try and vary up the designs a bit more than I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
What do you think about the character design?
Oh, I love them. They're all great. Like you said, they are all very unique. All different body shape. Like a couple of them kind of get a little close. Like mainly just like Bulkhead and Lugnut.
Yeah.
Since they're both basically the bruisers for their side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But every main character or character that has notable screen presence, pretty much,
mm-hmm.
has their own thing going on with them.
Yeah.
There's a couple of characters we do interact with share body types, like Wasp shares a body type with Bumblebee.
Right.
Ironhide shares a body with Ratchet.
Yeah.
But their designs are still varied enough to still make them recognizable, even if it's just head shape and color scheme.
Yeah.
Which certainly works. There's a lot more in terms of like background characters, even since I'm more familiar with that, that even manage to do that, even if they are sharing body type. Like there's like 50 kajillion Bumble characters that use the Bumblebee background, but each of them have some variation on all of their heads are completely unique and distinguishable, and even their proportions vary a bit. Not substantially in most cases because they still have to fit the mold, but enough that if I had a lighter interest, I could probably still recognize them at a glance. And that's really cool. And also, it's really cool that this is the 25th anniversary cartoon, basically, of the Transformers series.
Yeah.
So you do get a lot of those high references going on. So definitely, for Transformers fans, this is definitely a good series for some fan service.
Yeah.
Towards the end. In the beginning, not as much per se, but like...
Yeah.
For the fan service bit, but
really...
it's... Yeah.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that it's fan servicey, but it's not to the point where it takes me out of it, you know?
Yes.
Which is good, because, you know, how many little kids are really going to know all these references?
Nah, yeah, precisely.
Probably not any of them. So, you know, to me, that makes sense, and I'm happy that they don't overshadow it, because, you know, I can think of some other cartoons where they relied too much on fan service. Brand Wars. Excuse me. Okay. Is there any other background things you want to mention?
I think that's it for me.
Okay, that's it for me. I don't really have anything else about the background stuff that I thought was notable to talk about.
Yeah. Because music, admittedly, like there's good music bits, but nothing too notable to worth talking about.
Yeah, I think the only notable one is maybe the opening, but even
like I really like that because it's a nice rockin' variation of the original theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, most Transformers cartoons themes are some variation of Transformers, robots in disguise, Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Transformers. Yeah. But most of them. There's definitely exceptions, but
yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. So
yeah, and I think I've already discussed most of my criticisms earlier. The finale was like my big criticism.
Yeah, but
so
I must ask.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy yourself watching this?
Yeah, I did. I did enjoy my time with it. I enjoyed pretty much everything I saw. I wouldn't say that I do enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I don't think it's like the best show I've seen. And I don't know, maybe you enjoy it a little bit more than me, but I do still enjoy it. Like, yeah. I did. Yes.
Yeah. So, and again, I'd say this is top 3 Transformers cartoons along with Beast Wars and Prime. It really varies day to day which one I think is the best.
Yeah.
But definitely up there on Transformers cartoons at the very least.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely the best one I've seen so far. And I mean,
unfortunately, that's not a
only
great
seen one
pool.
other one, so.
That's not a great source of wealth. But I'll get you educated.
Yep.
On the rest in a not a rush, but in a respectable pace.
Yeah.
It will happen. That's a guarantee. That's a promise.
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
Maybe not Energon.
Are you sure?
I mean, that's probably going to be like just take a couple of shots and just sit back and make fun of the horrible mess.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to sit through it in terms of making fun of it.
It's still such a cringe fest, though. But anyway.
Oh boy. Okay.
But it's probably the same level of cringe fest as like the Prime Wars cartoon trilogy.
Yeah, maybe.
Stuff, I think. Just with worse animation and worse dialogue.
Oh boy.
You think wouldn't be possible. Which you think wouldn't be possible, but no, it is entirely possible, and its name is Energon.
Oh my god.
Anywho, but yes, I'd say overall, animated. If you are interested in it, definitely check it out. If you're not necessarily interested in it, you don't need to. But if it's not your cup of tea, if you sat here and listened to us and haven't watched it, if it doesn't sound like your cup of tea, then you don't need to go watch it. We're not telling you what to do with your life.
Right.
We're just providing our opinions that may or may not have an effect on your opinion.
Yeah.
But that is all from us today. Alyssa, where can people find you?
You can find me at The Rational Dove on Twitter.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, you should like, share, subscribe, and comment. And as well as I also have a Patreon account. You can find a link to that in the description below. If you support that, you can help support the channel. And thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack and Alyssa signing off.